Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Gamfed Turkey, specifically Doğankan and Erkan, for the opportunity to talk to you today. Also, I would like to wish the various teams in the next 2 days of the Gamification Hackathon the best of luck and success, and I genuinely look forward to what each team shows the jury on Sunday. And I hope that the various and interesting opening speeches today will give the teams a boost of energy and creativity in their efforts. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Albert Vandermeer. I am an audience engagement and experience consultant with my company, æStranger. My expertise lie in gamification, marketing, business strategy, and behavioral psychology. I've also done various other keynotes, such as with the Gamification Europe Conference and the International Gamification Conference in South Korea. I'm also the co-author of an internationally available book called Press Start: Using Gamification to Power Up Your Marketing. So for my opening speech, I've decided to give you my take on what the Metaverse is, how it will come to be and evolve, and how gamification can fit in there. Now, I'll try not to repeat too much of the utopian and blue sky proclamations of what the Metaverse will bring in the distant future, nor do I wish to regurgitate the warnings and doom statements of how it will further entrench us to mega corporations. Both of these have valid points and arguments, but both lack what I believe is a sense of immediate realism. It is, of course, a wonderful pastime to imagine what the end state will be of something, but these imaginings do not help with laying the foundations and building towards that state. And as we are so fond of in the world of gamification and engagement design, not only do we need to have clear goals, but we also need to break them down into manageable milestones with clear outcomes and rewards. Thus, my aim is to give you an idea of what the foundations need to be for the metaverse and how the field of engagement, experience design, and gamification is a fundamental part of it. And perhaps by the end, it will not only give you, but also the various teams this weekend, some food for thought as they develop and present their hackathon projects. But first, I need to give you a quick definition of what the majority see and understand the metaverse concept to be. I find that a definition given by Matthew Ball in his book, The Metaverse, encapsulates pretty much the general view held. The Metaverse is a massively scaled and interoperable network of real-time rendered 3D visual worlds and environments, which can be experienced synchronously and persistently by an effectively unlimited number of users with an individual sense of presence and with a continuity of data such as identity, history, entitlements, objects, communications, and payments. Whoa, okay, that's a lot, and it covers pretty much everything that people think of. In essence, for you and me and the audience, it's what the internet is today, but in 3D. And it's everywhere, unlimited, and accessible to everyone. Or at least that's the dream. This, as I said before, is the goal. Until we get there, we as the audience and companies who wish to create the metaverse will need to develop a solid plan. And we will face a great many obstacles along the way. However, if we are to follow the plan of many of the larger corporations all attempting to build a metaverse, then it would not be the everywhere accessible for everyone concept. For large companies, the metaverse is a one-way street, really, where the audience comes in, gets given an experience, gets either the illusion of value or actual value out of it, so that they then spend their money and then subsequently leave the ride to simply get back in the line again. To the bigger corporations, the way they describe the metaverse is that of a theme park. And despite the way I make it sound, this isn't inherently wrong or evil, it's just one view. But it's not the only one we should aspire to. This view isn't so much a metaverse as it is a meta-planet, if you will. For example, a Disney metaplanet would in effect be a theme park, or an IKEA metaplanet would also be a theme park. You would enter, have the experience that the company offers you, part with your money, receive value as either entertainment or an interior design solution, and then leave. And then likely, somewhere down the line, you'll eventually get back in the line to repeat the ride. However, this is only a one-way experience, as I said. This is not what much of human experience is. It's an aspect of it, but not something that we can drive progress with. No, what we need to drive the creation of the metaverse over meta planets or meta galaxies, as some specialists call it, is something that allows for communal experiences where interactions occur, relationships are built, and communities are grounded. The internet and the evolution to the metaverse are simply tools to facilitate these interactions and engagement. The end goal of all of this is how we connect and the value we derive from that engaging and connecting experience. Unfortunately, the obstacles in the way of this happening are both technological and social psychological. And in my opinion, these two go hand in hand, really. The metaverse is being imagined and coming into existence in a time now where the individual and the single corporation are sacred. Every single entity wishes to leave its mark and be the parent of this new experience. The unfortunate outcome of this is likely that due to this, there's going to be no single set of rules or laws or a code that governs the metaverse. And it may well be then that, a space where every action is monetized and every piece of technology and code is proprietary. If that happens, then the metaverse will probably be a fairly monotonous and dire experience that only a select few, probably the wealthy, may know. The metaverse thus needs to have a foundation similar to that of its progenitor, the internet. One of openness, ease, and availability. Only with that foundation can interaction between communities and audiences survive and thrive. And this is where gamification comes in. Gamification has its roots in gaming and game experience. Its core purpose has always been to take that which makes gaming and game experiences so engaging and attractive and apply that to the rest of the world to help improve experiences and connections and to ensure everyone is left with a net positive outcome, regardless of the experience they chose. And to address the technological and social psychological obstacles that the evolution of the metaverse faces, gamification can offer methods and solutions to aid in its initial growth. Now, to frame this correctly for you, one obstacle that the metaverse faces technologically is simply that connection speeds and availability of internet connections are not there yet, if they ever will be. In the end, light can only travel so fast, and distances will remain absolute. And on top of that, the processing power of computers and servers keep requiring more and more energy and space. But what if, from the perspective of gamification, we ran with the idea of a collective, something that's open source, a decentralized metaverse that used blockchain technology, mobile computer technology, and AI. What I'm suggesting here is using the methods and mechanics that we so often use within gamification to build a collective and community-based foundation, and to use that for the metaverse. With the technological constraints faced currently and the environmental impact of running such large server farms, one step forward would be, for example, to split the load across the communal audience. Imagine, if you will, a gamified experience that allows every individual to power and access the metaverse with their very own personal computer hub. Each person, in effect, carries a seed or a branch of the world tree, which is the metaverse. 1 million different points of light, and each person receives a benefit, either extrinsic or intrinsic, or both, in helping to water this world tree. This offers us a sustainable version of the metaverse, in that it doesn't require huge amounts of energy to run, at least not in the same way as the energy consumption and heat generation and waste that a server farm would. But it's also sustainable in the sense that its longevity is based on the cooperation of the collective. This, in essence, is the decentralization that, blockchain could offer us. And as far as resource management and stable interconnectivity are concerned, AI can also be a solution to this as well. Take only the example of the British government employing AI to control and allocate its energy resources for its national grid. AI could assist us in running an efficient and stable network for the metaverse. If such a level of communal cooperation through gamification is achievable, then the options become almost limitless in what we as a collective can accomplish with the metaverse that's based on communities and not on personal interest or business revenue goals or shareholder value return. In essence, it's the idea that Jane McGonigal spoke about almost a decade ago about the power of gamers as a group. Though, this does sound somewhat utopian in its own right still, something I said I'd try to avoid, but I do hope that explaining this concept is a little bit more feasible. We've all seen it enough times where communities can come together to create great change, and gamification mechanics can allow and facilitate this to happen with greater ease and benefit for those involved. But how can this come to pass? Well, without going too deep into the technical and financial issues that would still pose a decent obstacle, there are a few things that once achieved will get the ball rolling, as it were. Initially, in the short term, I do believe that, as John Iscello, CEO of Unity, the game engine, has stated, that there will be thousands of destinations in the metaverse for people to go to and explore. These meta galaxies and meta planets. Each of these will exist in its own bubble, with its own laws, all within the metaverse universe. We will be able to travel to each of these bubbles from our mobile hubs, the technological seed that we carry with us. However, it'll unlikely be that we can take anything or any item from the IKEA meta galaxy to the Disney meta galaxy. At least, not for now. The next step after that for meta galaxies to actually evolve into a true metaverse is when somebody is able to write a language of laws and or the coding language for an engine that is easy to use, is open source, and allows anyone to build an infinite number of interoperable experiences. When that happens, that person or organization will be the godparent of the metaverse. This is when we can take the one item from one galaxy to the other. The best example of this idea that I can come up with is the concept of the seed as depicted in the Japanese anime Sword Art Online. Now, in the anime, the depiction is of an interoperable code that anyone could use. It's a build that allows for an infinite amount of gaming worlds to be designed. I think the analogy still holds, and it works with the concept of baking gaming and gamification into the metaverse experience through the basic laws and processes. So what are the next steps? Well, I hope that this has given everyone some new thoughts and perspectives. What I hope is that we as an industry can help shape and guide how the rules and methods of engagement are codified into the metaverse, especially in its larval stage. We as professionals know what mechanics and motivators can be leveraged to promote healthy and positive interactions, both communal and interpersonal. We also know the barriers that can be created when communal understanding and comprehension are not ensured. Take, for example, the endless discussion around the term and definition of gamification, for example. And we also know what works and doesn't work when trying to engage an audience. So I'd like to place a challenge to you, and if possible, to the teams participating this weekend. Can you craft a concept of building the metaverse that works with what, for example, I've suggested, and or can you come up with one that is far better, simpler, more elegant, and allows us all to benefit from it together? So with that challenge placed, I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and all the best to my fellow speakers and to the jury members, and I also wish the best of luck to the teams and mentors participating this weekend. So thank you very much, and goodbye.